Okay, welcome to You're the Boss podcast show. And today I have a wonderful guest with me, Benas Leonavicius. So, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here. So, Benas, just tell us about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, yeah. First, thanks for having me on the show. I'm actually a freelancer, and I've been freelancing for now like over 10 years. But I've kind of now started to build my own agency. So I'm kind of transitioning from freelancing to building my own agency, and I've started as an search engine optimization specialist, and that's kind of been my main skill that I've been working towards. But in the last couple of years, I finally kind of broke free from this feast and famine cycle where you kind of work with clients in a never-ending sort of a line and don't actually earn that a lot. So right now I'm earning over $100,000 per year doing freelancing as a solo person, but I found I've reached my limit. So the next step is building an agency.
Right. So, you're going to leverage on other people's work as well to help you then employ
Yeah,
staff?
yeah,
Is that
exactly.
right? Okay.
Not only that, but I also like part of the reason that I'm building an agency is to have more structure in the way I do things, have more
Yeah.
organization, have more automation. So it's not only just like start to hire people that do work for me. It's more about like implementing systems, understanding, for example, my own sales process. There is like probably like 60-70% of the work in terms of building that agency is more on me making sure I have all of the right processes in place so that
This
I
is
know how
so
to
nice to
sell,
hear.
I know how to deal with clients. And then
Yeah.
yes, of course I will have some people to help me with stuff,
Yeah.
but my main idea is to make sure that whatever that I do is a lot more organized and efficient.
Right. Yeah, I'm just so my heart is singing when I because I just kind of geek out on systems a bit. I think yeah, every
Ah,
business should have a
amazing.
system. It should be organized and get your SOPs in place as well.
Hmm.
And this is because when you do bring on staff, they
Hmm.
need they need those instructions. They need to know what they're doing, where they're going, how things should be done, step by step processes and stuff like that, because otherwise they get lost.
Hmm.
Then if things go wrong also, you want to blame the system before you blame the staff,
Yeah,
right?
actually, one of the best advices that I heard. I'm not sure why it stuck with me, but usually people think that okay, I do, for example, SEO. So if I want to start building an agency, the first person that I should be looking for is somebody that does SEO, so I can basically kind of offload some of the work.
Yeah.
But the advice that I heard that it's probably one of the wrong ways to start things, since you're bringing in a person where no system exists, and if you start sort of bringing people in this way, you have basically became a full-time manager,
Yeah.
and it's probably a lot. You're like bringing in a lot of chaos in a thing that seemed to run kind of well when you were on your own. So, for example, my first hire was actually a digital business manager, and
Yeah.
the whole goal for her, I just said, like, everything that I have in my head, we need to extract and put into some kind of a system, a CRM, like a table, like we before we do anything else in terms of
Yeah.
client work, I actually need to organize my stuff. So that's
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
advice I heard, and
Yeah.
this is what I've been doing for the past couple of months.
Fantastic. It's well worth doing. All the effort that you put into it will pay off down the road for sure. Yeah, but
I
it's
hope so, because
yeah.
the key, interesting part is that it's been a couple of months now. It doesn't really feel like much is happening, so there is this kind of doubt in your head. This is the right kind of way of doing things. It seems like it is, but it doesn't feel like it is. So yeah,
No, it is. It is. I'll tell you why. Just from my experience of running an
mhm,
agency in the past, was when you have everything in place and your staff know what to do, and there's a structure to follow, and they've got instructions on how they're supposed to do their job. One, it's easier because if that person is off sick one day, you can
mhm,
put someone
mhm,
else into the seat and they follow
mhm,
the same instructions. So then it's continuity. That's one thing. But if things go wrong, and they make a mistake, or a mistake is made, or something goes wrong where it's there's some anomaly that never usually happens, but it happens on this particular occasion, you can then look at the system and say to your staff, what can you help me here? What in this system is missing that made this happen? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than blaming them, because the chances are they did what they were supposed to do because they were following instructions and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, and then, but something happened that's out of the norm that the system didn't allow for. All right. And
Mm,
that's your business
mm,
growing, right? So
mm-hmm.
something else has happened. Your business is growing, some things have changed, and the system hasn't caught up with it. So then if you involve your staff to say, can you help me with this? There's something wrong with the system now because this happened. Can you identify what it is? Can you suggest what we do, what steps we take now to make sure this doesn't happen again? And then that gives them ownership of it, and they're not blamed, but now their confidence is increased because they're thinking, oh God,
Mm.
I'm doing something to help here. I'm contributing, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a
that,
very interesting perspective. I mean, I haven't crossed that bridge yet, but yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely something
So I'll give
that
you
I
an
didn't
example
think
of
about.
one thing that happened in my agency once was my admin staff was quoting a client,
Mm-hmm.
and at the system at that time was she could just quote. It didn't have to go through me. She could just go and quote, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this particular quote was from a third party agency. We got a quote for design for a brochure.
Mm-hmm.
So she got the quote from the design agency. She added in our copywriting services, their design services into the quote to quote the customer. But
Mm-hmm.
the the quote involved doing 5 different brochures. And the quote from the agency was per brochure, one price. So the
Mm-hmm.
idea
Mm-hmm.
was she should times by 5, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
add-on, right? So she didn't. She quoted 5 brochures and that price, the price of one.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So obviously problem there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can already see the problem.
So the same thing is rather than okay, what's wrong with the system? The system is wrong here. Is if she had misquoted maybe for internal copywriting, okay, we've lost some hours,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yeah,
here
yeah.
we're actually physically losing money because we still have to
Mm-hmm.
pay the design agency for 5
Mm-hmm.
brochures,
Yeah.
but we're only getting paid from the client for one brochure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we lose money, right? So then what we put in place was if it's an internal copywriting thing, still you can just go and we just needs one person to look at it and send it
Mm-hmm.
out. That's her. But if it's a third party quote involved, get a second pair of eyes to
Mm.
cross check,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
helped us then to plug that gap in the system, right? And she was involved in writing those SOPs, correcting the SOPs so that happened.
I mean, when you think about it, like the solution here is so simple, but I mean uh the savings can be like enormous, like
Yeah,
in this case, like so.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
And it's a
pretty good
work
to have
in
a
constant
system.
progress as well. It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it now, you're doing the big
Yeah.
job now, but it's going to constantly be tweaked as things
Mm-hmm.
change, you know? And then it's like if you use a different software or something like that, then something else has to change.
I mean, yeah, this is probably like inevitable. I mean, I've been like freelancing for the last 10
Mm,
years. And I mean, even the system that I use as my kind of, as myself, as a solo
mm,
freelancer, like, I mean,
mm,
it did change and evolve like
mm.
over time for like many, many times. So I do believe with the agency is going to be the same. So I'm not afraid of the changes. I just know that right now it's probably the biggest lift, kind of
Yeah,
creating everything from scratch. But then
yeah,
iteration I feel is going to be a lot easier compared to
yeah.
what I need to do right now.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so I'm glad that you're doing that and you're making those changes and things are growing.
Hmm.
And just talk to me a little bit about, like you mentioned that you were freelancing before, now you're building the agency.
Yeah.
Before you were freelancing, what did you do?
Actually, not that much to be honest. I started. So my father is a businessman, so I always knew that I will want to have my own business, freelancing, something on my own. So it was always like ingrained in me from my childhood, but
Right,
I didn't think it would happen that soon. So
right.
my kind of uh, plan for life was that I go to university. After university, I graduate. Then I probably go and work at some big companies. At the time, I was eyeing, to work at Google or Apple. I was really sort of into tech and stuff like that. So I thought I would probably go in and, have some experience, do something, and then maybe by the time I'm 30, now I'm actually 31. So by the time I'm 30, maybe then I'll start to create something and do something like
Yeah.
that. But what happened is that I got into freelancing like during my university years. But
Okay.
I mean, I took it like as a side hustle, like something,
Yeah.
it started as just a extra pocket money for just whatever for to live off. Then it grew into something a bit more serious, but I didn't view it seriously. So although I did have like some internships, free internships, paid internships, I did work at several companies. I don't think I've worked at any company more than 4 months, if I remember correctly. So my longest time at any company was like 4 months. So I although I had like experience working at I think 3 or 4 different companies, from
Yeah.
like small startups to like pretty huge corporations. Um, as soon as I kind of graduated from university, I got into, I was hired to be a manager at a marketing agency. Although I didn't have anything like any marketing, any managerial experience at the time, I have no idea how I got that job. But it was sort of, I was living abroad. This was back in Lithuania. And I thought, hey, let me just go back to Lithuania. I haven't lived there for like 7 years. Let me go back there, work at a marketing agency, maybe gain some skills, some knowledge, something like that, and see where
Yeah.
life takes me. But I mean, since I didn't have any experience, I actually didn't even like went on to qualify for that, the qualifying period that you have when you work at the
Yeah.
company. So I was fired actually after like less than 2 months that I was there. And at the time, I remember I mean, now it makes sense like how everything happened, but at the time I thought I was qualified to do. I know how to do SEO. I know like this marketing agency does like a lot of marketing things, but SEO is definitely one main thing that they kind of provide as a service. So I felt that I knew what what was doing, but obviously I didn't. Since there was actually 3 of us hired at that agency, and 2 of the girls they actually stayed, and I was
Oh,
fired since I didn't sort of meet
okay.
that criteria. So I knew that something went very wrong here. And I was very angry, to be honest, at the time. I remember, not at the agency, but just at the whole corporate 9 to 5, like just in general. For some reason, I never felt that it was like all of the other jobs or internships that I had, they went well, but I never felt like I belonged. Like I never felt like this is the right place or work for me. It's always like it felt very inefficient. It felt I mean, since I already had freelancing experience, I knew I could do some kind of work or project in a couple of hours, but I had to sit in the office for like 8 to 9 hours. And half of that time was just like spent at a coffee machine. Yeah, it blew my mind how everything worked as soon as I got to the corporate world.
Yeah.
So after that marketing agency, I was so angry that and I was actually still freelancing while being at that marketing agency, since
Right.
I had some clients and stuff like that. So I never really dropped freelancing as a whole, since it was kind of always kept in a background. And as soon as I got fired from that agency, I just decided, hey, let me actually give this freelancing thing a shot and do that full time. Because before that, I never actually made a decision to, freelance as a full-time thing, or this is gonna be my thing that I do. And from that point onwards, I never had any other job in my life. Now we're like 10 years
Look back.
later, we're
Yeah.
here. And I mean, to be honest, I'm really glad that they fired me, because if they haven't, I probably would have stayed with them for a very long time, and I have no idea where life would have taken me. But this is kind of a blessing in disguise, since they fired me. And I mean, even that first year that I was freelancing, I actually earned 3 times as more that I would have earned just being a manager at that marketing agency.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Any way that I look at this right now, it was a blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's funny how, like, when it's happening, you can't see it. It all seems like it's a disaster, right? And you'll it's really upsetting. But then when with hindsight, you look back on it and it's, I'm
Hmm.
really glad this happened. This happened for me, right? This happened for me.
I'm not sure if you know there is this famous like Steve Jobs presentation at I think Stanford University in 2005. I used to actually listen to that present. I think I've listened for quite many times, but I don't remember much except for one thing that really stuck with me, even though at that time I didn't really understand it. For some reason, it really stuck with me. And he said that you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. And
Exactly.
now that I've had some life experience, I can see how many things connect in so many like weird ways where
Yeah.
and you cannot predict what's going to happen. So you kind of have to, as he said, kind of follow your gut, follow your
Yeah.
intuition. Your heart always knows what it wants to do. You just
I
have to
believe that.
trust it
Yeah.
to kind of trust it to make that decision for you, even though it might not make any logical sense, even
Yeah.
though you don't know where you're going to end up. So yeah, looking back, it's very interesting to reminisce and look backwards and now be able to connect the dots.
Yeah. And then you can see it was the best thing that ever happened to you because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you wouldn't be where you are today if that hadn't happened. And just going back to what you mentioned a little bit earlier, right at the very beginning, you were talking about the feast and famine cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that and how
Oh, yeah.
how you've solved
Um,
that if you have.
yes, I definitely feel that I did. The thing is, I probably made every single freelancing mistake that you can possibly make. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. So now,
Guilty
again,
too.
look, yeah, now looking backwards, I see many things that I kind of did wrong, or now I see a better way of doing things. So, for example, that feast and famine cycle, I mean, everything happened with me organically, but what happens usually with freelancers and with in my situation as well is that you start to work with clients. You usually maybe charge hourly, maybe you charge fixed price, but you usually want to sort of offer and be with them, do as many things as possible for them. Uh, so what happens is that you find one or two clients, but then you spend like, 20 hours per client per week or something like that. And you basically all of your time is spent with working with just a couple of clients. Usually at the start, you don't have much experience, so your retainers or hourly is not that high. So what basically ends up happening is that you kind of have a 9 to 5 job with just couple of different clients, and you work all the time, and you don't really have any time to either sort of look for new clients, or you don't even have time to deliver any new projects. So what happens is that you work with somebody for a couple of months, then that project or client sort of leaves, that our project ends, and then you sort of look for another client. In probably 1 or 2 months you find them, and then it repeats and it repeats and it repeats, and it's like it's been a couple of years and my income basically has stayed the same. um, how I escaped it, organically kind of I mean, didn't happen overnight, so it kind of happened one thing at a time. But I realized that I need to change what service or result or outcome that I sort of what service that I provide to clients, and what specific outcome or result I want to provide them. Um, I wanted to detach myself from working long hours or providing services that require long hours, or working
Right.
on projects that are very complex that require a lot of my time.
Right.
For example, if I work with an e-commerce shop or a SaaS company, the search engine optimization for them is usually very difficult. So it means it requires a lot of my time. There's usually a lot of bigger teams that I need to sort of communicate with. There is longer delays in terms of what happens when. So it's a very complicated project. So I'm like, if I would work with them for only like 5 hours per week, let's say, I wouldn't be able to deliver the results, which means I need more time. So one thing was okay, I figured that I need to find clients or projects that don't require a lot of time, but still provide an enormous result for that client.
Okay.
So this is kind of a two-way thing. First, it's I need to find a client type that makes sense, and I need to find a service that I can offer that makes sense to them. So, as as an example, if we switch from e-commerce shops to, for example, keynote speakers or book offers, they also have a website. They also have some leads. They also have a business that they run, but their website and their keywords that they want to rank is much more simpler, which means it's way easier for me to provide very good results with a lot less time being spent on my end doing the like SEO. So this is the first part where it unlocked it unlocked the opportunity for me to work with like 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 clients at the time, still provide the results, but then be able to just work with many more clients at the same time. And the second part of escaping this cycle was where and how do you get clients? So again, if you're a freelancer, that's probably the number one question everybody asks. Even if you're not a freelancer and somebody wants to become a freelancer, like the number one question is like, how do you get clients? Because it makes sense to ask that question. Since it's if you want to find a job, the process is very easy. You go on a job board, you send your CVs, you go through interview process. Everybody knows what to do here. If you're a freelancer, maybe they heard about like some freelancing platforms like Upwork and stuff, but that's basically it. So finding clients for me, I stumble upon I understood that probably one of the most powerful ways of getting clients and the easiest way of getting clients is through word of mouth and referrals. Again, it's easier to say than to actually do it. But I found there is a logic behind it where you can kind of make it work for you. For example, if you work again with an e-commerce founder and he owns like let's say it's a pet shop for like dog food or something like that. If you work with that e-commerce founder and they really love your work, how many other e-commerce pet founders does he know? If he does, they are more likely to be his competitor. So it's not like he's gonna start to refer you to other people like that, since he's basically referring somebody that you did very well for him to other competitors. So it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, he might have some other connections and some stuff, but it's where he might know somebody else completely in a completely different niche. But then we're getting into an issue where you work with a lot of different variety of projects, and I kind of found that if you keep yourself within a specific niche, it's much better in terms of the way you organize your work, the way you create systems. So in this case, the e-commerce founder is probably not the best person to go after. But let's say we take like book offers or keynote speakers as a client. They first of all, they are very extroverted and very well connected people. So they usually actually know a lot of like book offers, know a lot of other book offers. Keynote speakers basically know every other keynote speaker out there. And the good part is that they're not really in competition with each other, not in like direct competition. One book offer is not really competing with another. Technically they are, but in terms of the way they kind of communicate and the way they sort of socialize, they're not in direct competition, meaning that it's very easy for them to refer you to others. And for example,
keynote speakers as well, it's the same thing. They're not really competing with each other, because once they've got a booking, that client's not going to book them again for a long time. It's a long cycle, right? So.
And also with keynote speakers, they usually have their own, they're very, although some of them talk about the same thing like leadership, they usually have their own story, their own book, their own method. So even though they might technically compete for the same leadership type of keynote speaking engagement on a specific conference, they're usually so different that they might even, both of them might be invited to speak at that event, or like, one quarter Google invites one speaker, another quarter invites another speaker, but they're basically same, talking about leadership. So again, the competition is very weird in this place. And what happens is that since those people are very well connected, they're very introverted, they usually love to network themselves, which means they talk a lot with other like-minded people. And it's not like they have like a big team of people that they run. They usually work with a handful of people in terms of their own website, their own services. They very easily refer other people that they work with to the other people. And for example, half of my half of my freelancing business in the last couple of years was actually built specifically on referrals, where other keynote speakers are referring me to other keynote speakers, because I get emails where like, hey, I had breakfast with this and this keynote speaker. He talked about highly about you and your work. Let's chat. So it becomes very easy to sell this way. So referrals, word of mouth, and networking is very powerful for freelancers.
Nice. So basically the way you've changed things up in your business then is you've identified a service you can provide that doesn't take you a long time, but you can charge a reasonable price for, and then you just rinse and repeat with every different client, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then on top of that is you've found a niche
Mhm.
in the other people that you can serve, that you can do your systems and your SOPs around, and they naturally give you referrals. So this is
Yeah,
very well
yeah.
done. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
One more thing. I mean, this is particularly well suited for search engine optimization. But like, if you can, like, one other thing is why I escaped the cycle is that the services now that I offer, I don't really offer, for example, one-time projects. I offer a specific outcome, like a result, for example, an increase in specific organic search for specific keywords with a specific targeted number sort of leads or something along those lines. What happens is that for that to be true, I usually need to work with that keynote speaker for, at least like, 6 months. But I mean, most of these clients that I work with, I've been working with them for years. So one client is at least like 1 to 2 to 3, maybe even longer, like year contract. So if I can stack those contracts on top of one another, then again, I'm not really in a cycle, since if one client drops, I
Yeah,
still have a lot of other
yeah.
clients. But then if I
Still
sign
got it
another
going.
client, I know I have a very high confidence that I'm going to work with them for at least a year in this case. So
Right.
if you have some kind of a service where you are able to offer like a long-term partnership, that also helps you escape cycle, instead of offering one-time, I don't know, logo design that, takes you a couple of hours, but then, you have to
Done.
find like, hundreds of people to work with, throughout
Yeah,
the
no,
year.
that would be a pain. Oh. And I think with SEO as well, the nature of the work for SEO requires that the clients have to be with you for a certain number of months
Yes.
before they're going to see
Yes.
results anyway, right? So it's easy to sort of say to them, right, you need to sign a contract for X number of months, right?
Yeah, in this sense, I was probably a bit like lucky, since, for example, I moved from hourly rate very quickly into sort of fixed price, and then on a retainer base, since like SEO kind of demanded it. As soon as I figured out that I want to provide not a task like SEO audit or keyword research, but more of a result, then it kind of naturally moved me towards sort of a retainer based model.
Yeah,
So I was a bit lucky, since it's not something that I came up with as a genius idea. It's sort of the SEO industry as a whole
the
allowed me to
nature of
go
the
in that
work.
direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, nice. So you've got a nice business set up then that sort of is really organic in the way it's going to get business for you, almost, right? You don't have to do as much
Yeah.
work to get your
Yeah, I
clients in.
mean, as I'm building an agency, I definitely want to do a lot more cold approaches, like warm cold approach sort of type outreach, so to actually scale that agency. Since again, referrals are very nice, but it's very unpredictable and unreliable. So I want
Yeah,
to build something that I can
you
control
need a
myself instead of
pipeline that's
rely.
constantly
Yeah,
being, yeah, fed.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's definitely. So with mine, I didn't really rely on SEO for my business at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I was setting it up, as soon as Google came out, I started running Google Ads, and I always run ads
Mm-hmm.
all the way through till 2023 and ChatGPT came out.
And the whole game changed.
And suddenly no one was searching for copywriters anymore. So there was no point
Yeah,
having
yeah,
ads.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the way that changed. But that for me, the ROI on that was really big because I
yeah.
just needed to close one client per month to pay for the ads. And I
Hmm.
was getting like 20 to 30 inquiries a day. So
I
I
mean,
just,
yeah, that's
that's,
amazing.
that was at the height of the business at that time. So, but then since then, and then what made me stop running the ads was when I looked at my analytics going through
Hmm.
Go High Level, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I looked at where were the leads coming from, where were the inquiries coming from. Then realized, okay, they're not coming from Google, they're coming from my organic listing, right? So they were
Hmm.
actually coming
Hmm.
through my website, they weren't coming through the ads. So
Hmm.
out of 10 inquiries, one came through the ads, the other nine came through
Hmm.
SEO. So that was an eye opener as well. I
Hmm.
think, okay, yeah.
I I do. I'm not that familiar with the ad space, but what I've at least kind of heard around is that, um, yeah, AI and ChatGPT probably did also affect the whole
Mm,
industry, but it seems
mm,
that it was, if we go back to like, I don't know, 2015, like 10 years ago or something like that, there was a lot less competition. The ad space was still new. Google was still kind of even then kind of growing. So I think it was a lot, people probably accepted ads a lot easier since there were kind of less of them. Same with like Facebook advertising. And what I've I mean, maybe you can correct me or if I'm wrong, but it feels like the ad space has become a lot more expensive, a lot more
mm-hmm.
competitive, and it like feels that lead price, like one price per lead, has become so incredibly expensive that now only like certain businesses can
Yeah,
rely on ads, since it makes sense for them to spend if they have like a high ticket offer or something like that. But
yeah, yeah,
the whole industry was a lot sort of much more relaxed like 10 years ago than it is
yeah.
right now.
It has to make sense, but I mean, it's
Hmm.
basically you could pay $1 million for an ad if you knew you were going to get 3 million back, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
a no-brainer, right? So if you, as long as you've got the ROI, as long as you know that when the ad goes out and you're paying for that ad,
Hmm.
the number of leads that come in and your
Hmm.
ability to convert those leads to paying
Hmm.
clients, if you
Hmm.
know that's going to work, then it's
Hmm.
a no-brainer. For me, Google Ads was a no-brainer. As long
Yeah,
as people
yeah.
were searching for copywriting services, I
Hmm.
knew that my ROI was fine, right? I would spend whatever I needed to spend on Google Ads to get that business in. But it only works, this kind of search service only works if people are searching. If they're not searching,
No,
it
of
doesn't
course.
work.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no. I mean that totally makes sense. I mean, anything, if people are not searching, neither SEO or Google
Yeah,
Ads will help you in this case.
yeah, exactly. So let's touch a little bit now on the SEO work itself,
Hmm.
on the SEO service. So we talked about search engine optimization. We've talked, the short form is SEO, but just for anyone listening who doesn't understand what this is, can you just explain what it means, SEO or search engine optimization?
Yeah, search engine optimization is basically if anybody who's listening, if you go on Google and you type in a keyword like dog food, let's use the same example, and search results pop up. At first, you have some ads at the top, but then you have some organic results sort of a bit further down the line. Those organic results are basically influenced by Google algorithms. So you need to optimize your website in order to appear on certain keywords at a certain place. And you can probably obviously see how valuable that is if somebody searches for dog food and your e-commerce shop appears at the top of the organic search results. You are getting a lot of leads, you are getting a lot of customers. So
Yeah.
the job for the SEO is to basically optimize those websites so that they appear on the
Mm.
specific keywords on Google or any other search engine. And nowadays we are kind of starting to get into the whole AI search optimization as well. It's still very new, but this is an up and coming area as well.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about that in terms of AI now, because I've had clients coming to me now that when I ask, how did you find me? They said,
Hmm.
oh, I searched in ChatGPT. So that's a new thing, right? And then the converse, like the opposite of that, is when you search now in Google, you don't see the ads first of all
Yeah,
most of the time.
yeah,
You
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
the Gemini, you
AI
know.
overviews,
Yes,
the
yeah,
correct term for that. Yes,
right.
yes.
And then if that gives you the answer, you're not looking further down, right? You know. So I think that will affect both SEO and Google Ads, right?
Hmm. For
Because
sure,
people
for sure.
aren't gonna go down further if they get the answer right at the top there, right? That's one thing.
Yeah.
And then I've got a question. I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, but I was talking to a client today and talking about their need to get found, right? And if somebody can't find you by your name, at least be found by your name. If they know your name and they
Hmm.
Google you, what comes up, right? So I looked at what came up on my name and the ads that were coming up, the paid ads that were coming up if you search my name in Singapore
Hmm.
anyway, there was branding agencies and brand experts have
Hmm.
paid ads that are
Hmm.
showing up against my name. So is
Hmm.
that Google doing that, or are they putting my name into the ads?
Yeah.
If someone searches Ange Dove, show our ad.
Yeah, I'm not an ads expert, but from my understanding, from the knowledge that I have, I would guess it's actually Google rather than themselves putting your keyword in.
Okay.
As far as I know, Google Ads at this point became a lot more advanced, and they
Mm.
actually are pushing a lot of people to use their own sort of smart bidding function. Because like if you take 10 years ago you go in, I mean, you probably know, you enter
Mm.
specific keywords, and you,
Yeah.
for majority of the time, you actually rank for those specific keywords, and
Yeah.
your ads only show for those keywords.
Yeah.
I do seeing how the whole digital advertising space is actually moved on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Google itself. I do believe that they're not putting in your name. You are just associated with that particular service, and Google is just sort of they're probably using some smart, advanced, sort of smart keyword picking sort of thing, where they
Right.
don't actually input specific keywords. They might have some keywords that they really want to show up for, but it's probably they have a campaign where it's just smart bidding on whatever works, and then Google itself figures
Mm.
out. So it's kind of the same thing on Facebook, where you don't actually select specific people that you target. You
Okay.
select like that criteria, and then whoever sort of is interested or kind of matches that appears
Uh,
on there. I think it's
right.
kind of the same thing on Google. So although they
Okay.
can probably enter your name,
Yeah, they can.
uh, yeah,
So,
i
yeah.
I would guess it
Google.
might be Google themselves.
Yeah. So that's quite cool actually, because then I'm thinking, okay, so I'm associated with those keywords, right? I'm
Ah, yeah,
associated
yeah,
with
yeah.
branding, which is
I mean, if
exactly
you,
what I want. So,
yeah, I mean, if you've been in an industry for a very long time, and you've known, for example, for copywriting, then yeah, it makes sense if you have a lot of sort of different articles, websites, and stuff like that with your name, and you sort of Google associates you with copywriting.
yeah.
Then yeah, they actually might,
But
because
this is coming up for branding, which I'm really pleased about because
yeah.
like, I've been a copywriter for 20 years, so I was known as a copywriter, but now I want to
Hmm.
make this change into branding, personal branding, and for me to be recognized already for that, I think is quite cool. I'm quite happy with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Google. I mean, their algorithms are smart. They sometimes, sometimes they even guess what happens before us even thinking about it. So in that
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
it sees that you're going to be successful in this area, and already starts
Woo.
running ads on it.
Okay, so what would your advice be to someone who is setting up a business and they want to be found, right? And just advise people how SEO can help them. Why is it a tool for them to use in their business?
Yeah, couple of some context before that. So when ChatGPT was released and when AI search became kind of a thing, there was a lot of obviously there was a lot of fear in terms of for a lot of people. But for example, in the SEO industry, there was a lot of fear and predictions that okay, the SEO as it's known might be dead. And we've seen sort of Google implement, like come up with Gemini that implement AI overviews. We've seen sort of other types of search engines such as Perplexity sort of come around. And again, AI itself now has built-in search features in it itself. A couple of years ago, there was a lot of predictions that in a couple of years' time, SEO might not even be relevant. Interesting part is that nothing like that really materialized. So if I've actually seen some data just recently that Google hasn't actually lost that much. I mean, only a couple of percentage points, but I mean, it already has like 90 plus percent. They haven't really lost. Yeah. So they haven't really lost any sort of market share. The top the biggest websites on the planet only lost like a couple of percentage points of organic traffic from Google. So all of the data right now points to us that all the fears that we had didn't materialize. It doesn't say that it wouldn't materialize in the future, but at least it's not gonna be as a sudden thing as people kind of predicted it would be. So that's kind of the whole sort of insight on the industry itself. Now, SEO, AI, and AI search are changing. So they're not gonna be the same as it was sort of 10 years ago, where you have some keywords and and you optimize for them, and that's basically it. It feels that we are moving into a kind of a world where you want to do actually a lot of personal branding. You want to have a lot of mentions. It's either your personal as your name or your company. You want to pay more attention to podcasts, to mentions, to backlinks, to articles, to social media, because we are moving into a world where we're moving away from tracking clicks to tracking impressions. For now, you cannot, for example, like as you said, like a lot of your clients actually come from ChatGPT, but right now we don't have any kind of search console tool as we do with Google, how to track like which keywords we search for. And AI itself is probably might be very difficult to track anyway, even if they introduce some kind of tools later on. The way AI works itself, it's not like you put in the keywords, you actually chat with it. So it's so custom that it might be very difficult to know, okay, which specific keywords, how, like it's gonna be very difficult to apply the same logic that we have for SEO into whole this new AI search model. The same is for Google. Google is also doing AI overviews thing where, as you said, you Google something, it gives you the answer straight away, and then you kind of leave. You don't even click on any links. So it doesn't diminish that people are still going to search for things. It's just how we track them and what's more important in terms of optimizing. That is what's changing. So, for example, one of the biggest things, the biggest levers that you can do in order to sort of succeed in this whole new SEO and AI search world is to have your name in as many places as possible. So podcasts, mentions, newsletters, articles, social media, backlinks from external links, internal, like the interviews. So the more you have your name mentioned, the more likely it is, because AI right now works kind of the same way as Google did 10 years ago. It basically looks who is mentioned more. I'm just gonna be basically put their name in the AI search result. It's gonna probably get more complicated as we go along, but at least right now it's quite simple in that sense that if somebody is mentioned more on different articles, on different pages, AI is just taking that name. It's not really analyzing. It's kind of actually using the same SEO results, either from Bing or from Google, just reads the articles and basically looks, oh, your name is mentioned more times than your competitor's name, it feels like it makes sense to put that person in. It's not as clear one-to-one sort of, but the
Yeah.
trend is definitely there where if you have more stuff online about you, AI is just going to reference you more. And then clients are basically going to come to you. The tracking part is going to be incredibly difficult. So that is where we will need to see how we attribute things, you know. Is SEO working? Well, you are getting clients. And if you ask them, they might say that they are from ChatGPT, but that might not be feasible for every single business to ask every single client where you come from. So yeah, the tracking and attribution is going to be incredibly tough. We actually are moving into a world where we had perfect attribution, and now we're in terms of the digital space, especially, where we might have trouble attributing results to one channel or another.
Okay. Okay. So the key is lots and lots of content,
Yeah,
right? With your
yeah,
name or your
yeah,
product name or your
yeah.
website or wherever. Yeah, that's got to be the key.
That's the strategy for that works
Yeah.
best right now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Good to know. But actually, and then they'll start to create the content with the AI tools, right?
Yeah. I mean that's the, I
'Cause-
mean depends what you create, but I mean if you create an article with AI tool
yeah.
about you, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It feels that much more weight is gonna be put on content that is more difficult to replicate. So if you have a
Right.
YouTube channel with a lot of
Yeah.
videos, AI
Yeah.
can analyze that, and they can. I mean, if they see your subscribers, if you have at least like 5,000 subscribers, it's maybe not a lot in terms of YouTube as a platform, but it's very significant whenever somebody is searching for a keynote best leadership keynote speaker. They might reference that person because, oh, this is a YouTube channel. It has some views, it has subscribers, it has some videos. So it gives more incentive for AI to reference that person over somebody else who doesn't have a YouTube channel. So I do
Yeah.
believe you can create some AI content, but in some sense, some things are going to be more difficult to replicate, which is
Yeah.
probably going to be where a lot of the weight in terms of the decisions are
I
going to be
kind of
made.
see history repeating itself a little bit in when Google first came out as a search engine. I used to be saying to clients, like business clients, I would say to them, you need a blog on your website. You need a blog
Hmm.
because the more articles you put out,
Yeah.
the more Google can find you. And the answer I got was, we're not a tourist like a tourist agency, right?
Yeah.
A travel agency, right? And I'm like, you don't get it. You don't get it. You need to be found. You need to give Google fresh content, right? And then you had the content mills that would just generate
Hmm.
rubbish,
Yeah.
basically, and just like repeating just generating this nonsense articles. And we've then they kind of recognize then, okay, you need different content, you need unique content, you need quality.
Hmm.
Google's looking for quality,
Hmm.
it's not looking for regurgitated
Hmm.
rubbish, right? And I think we're at that stage again, possibly now with the AI tools, with the AI search, that if they're still, we're saying now that, okay, it's gone back to content again. You've got to get content, you've got to put content out. And then again, you're saying that if you generate all that content just with AI,
Hmm.
is then they start to look for something that's more unique. So you're back
Yeah.
to, okay, it's got to be quality content again, right?
Yeah. I don't have the data for this, but in my opinion, I do believe that personal branding is gonna become an increasingly more important thing for a person or a business to do. Since if we are moving into a world where a lot of the content can be created by AI, then okay, then what differentiates one, let's say, like one blog from another?
Yeah.
Probably the one that has a face, that has a person behind it, that has a YouTube channel, that has social media, that has like some like if I think people are going to start to crave something real And something real is probably like a podcast where two people are talking. Something
Yes.
real is probably like an actual Instagram account of a person that is using. So
Yeah.
I think we are going to move into a world where personal branding, and it doesn't, I mean, I'm not talking about being an influencer where you need to have like a million followers on Instagram, but if you have, let's say, like
Just something
5,000,
that's real.
10,000, yeah, 10,000 like followers on Instagram, and you have some
Yeah.
content, and you have some, and you show what you're doing. You have maybe a YouTube. Like, I think video is definitely going to be the last place where AI is going to touch. So I mean, yes, you can create some things with video right now, but I
Yeah.
think this is probably going to be the biggest leverage that you as a person or as a business can make.
Excellent. Okay, that's good to hear as well. Yeah, and I think even with copywriting, I think the pendulum is swinging back. It went way to one side of, okay, we're just going to use AI, and I think it's slowly now coming back to, yeah, we need some human involvement in this as well.
Yeah, I do see that there. I mean, it makes sense. AI came along. There was a lot of hype. There was a lot of fear. A lot of praise. We were like, people were all over it. But I think now we're sort of starting to
Now
be
we're
a bit
over
fed
it.
up. Yeah, we
Instead of being all over it, now we're over it.
yeah, I mean, AI is not gonna go away. It's gonna stay in like the same way Google was created, and I mean, Google has been around for like decades now,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
so ingrained to us we don't even think about it. So I think AI is gonna also sort of insert itself in our lives, where just
Yeah.
it now, you, instead of using Google, you're gonna use ChatGPT for
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
I feel that the human part, the human element, is gonna become uh, uh, also increasingly important, since people are gonna crave more human written, human made. I mean, now I'm seeing sort of a lot of even like YouTube channels, for example, that do animation, and how strongly they advertise that specific things were made by humans instead of made by AI, and you
Okay.
kind of in a subconsciously then appreciate that as well. So I yeah, it feels that AI is probably going to
The
be
time
more
is
of a
going into it.
productivity tool thing in our lives,
Yeah.
instead of just being somebody that replaces everything and everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all social creatures, so
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't argue with biology, basically,
Yeah.
and evolution. Like, you can't like be just and communicate with a computer all day, all long. You
No.
will crave for some human interaction, human things. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Venice, it's been so lovely talking to you. I think we've had a really good conversation. Um, and where can people find you?
I suppose my YouTube channel is probably the best place to find me. I document my freelancing journey. I've now documented how I build an agency. So my YouTube channel, if it's going to be linked anywhere, then that's
Yeah,
probably the
we'll link
best
that.
place. Yeah, that's
Okay.
probably the best place to find me.
Okay. So wherever this podcast ends up, whether it's audio, video, there'll be a link around it somewhere that you can contact Benas directly. Okay. So thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to the show today. And if you've liked what you've heard, then do subscribe to the channel wherever you see it, wherever you're watching it. And if you're on YouTube, ring the bell so that you can get notified when we upload another episode so you don't miss the episodes as they come up.